Okay, first it was, as you know, the ballroom. A presidential walk of fame came next, all those signs leading to the Oval Office. The paved Rose Garden, turning it into a cafe. Lafayette Park, the Arch, the reflecting pool, a golf course, a helipad. Even today, the White House is covered in scaffolding. A White House official says restoration work is being done to the stone columns. And it's all happening at a time when Americans and much of his own party want President Trump to be focused on kitchen table issues. Instead, as Ashley has been pointing out, he's focused on landscaping and beautification projects and stuff of his legacy. So much so that the Washington Post analysis found that Donald Trump touted at least one of these projects nearly every day last month, more than he talked about health care, wages, or inflation. Still with us, Ashley, Charlie, and Basil. Ashley, are we sure that they're just fixing the columns?
Well, look, Donald Trump is obsessed with all of these things for two reasons. One is he is very clearly trying to remake Washington in his image and erect monuments to himself in real time of the sort that normally come well after your presidency has ended, after history has sort of objectively judged you a great leader. He is judging himself a great man of history in real time and erecting these monuments. But also, people close to him have told me he is a consummate builder and developer, and this is just who he always is. They can recount him interrupting meetings at Mar-a-Lago, at the Oval Office, to look out, see something in the landscaping, and, pause the meeting so he can get down on his hands and knees and, look at something with the tiles. I mean, when my colleagues and I went in last year, a little before this time, so a little over a year ago last year, to interview him, I mean, the first thing he asked us as we walked into the Oval for an interview was he pointed to the ceiling and said, "Do I do a chandelier? Do you think I should do a chandelier?" And I was reminded of that because in the new book by Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan, they go in to interview him while the Iran war is very fresh. And by their telling, the first thing he says is, "Look, I'm buying all these trees. I know how to buy these beautiful maple trees." And so part of that is just, we're asking, does he care about the Republican Party? Is he trying to lose? This is just where his genuine sort of super ego interests authentically lie.
So work for a beautification project in Washington, become a landscaper, become a contractor yourself. I mean, President of the United States is not a person who should be in charge of trying to beautify the city or adding construction projects or being on his hands and knees super gluing gold appliques to the, fireplace in the Oval Office, as described, by the way, in Maggie and John's book as well, which, again, incredible. I mean, this is not what he should be focused on as commander-in-chief. Also, but, even to bring it further, if you want to focus on these things, Charlie, why can't he make them look better? I mean, putting gold all over everything is not the American tradition. We're more homespun. We are more modest. As a people, it's not supposed to be Versailles. It's not supposed to be Buckingham Palace. We broke away from a monarchy. This is not us. Why not? I mean, a ballroom, fine, but the size of it is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, you just pointed out everything I've been saying for months, that, gilding the ballroom, gilding the White House, giving off this Versailles image and, this Marie Antoinette feeling of let them eat cake while Americans are struggling every day, and he's focused on the vanity projects, is beyond me. And by the way, if you really want to be the facilities manager, be the facilities manager. But when you're president of the United States, one nice thing about the job is you have other people who do that for you. But he likes to do it himself. I think that's true. This is what really motivates him and turns him on. The problem is this is not what's motivating the American people. And you're absolutely right. When we're talking about an arch that is, 250 feet high, you can make a case, actually, that you might want to put some piece of sculpture on that piece of ground near the Arlington Cemetery. But a 250-foot arch, with some kind of gilded sculpture on top of it, I don't think that's what we're talking about here. So, again, the president is just not simply, he seems to be detached from what ordinary people are dealing with. And his party is feeling it every single day. And that's part of the reason why their numbers are so low going into the midterm.
Ashley, were you able to figure out if this is real, that gold eagle that the White House posted on its Instagram on the balcony and I think this is over the South Lawn. Where is this? Is that real or is that an AI image?
So I will confess I have not spent a lot of time reporting that out. But what I will say that I think is tied in, what's fascinating is if you look at President Trump's critics in terms of average voters, or even people who maybe voted for him but have now grown skeptical, and you were to make a list of maybe the top 100 or top 1,000 things you would think are most problematic. There might be some sort of the corruption and grift and self-dealing, but it are these physical things. When the public really sort of viscerally feels this sense that he doesn't care about them and he's focused on himself, there's a few moments when we first saw it. It was when he accepted that plane from the Qataris because it was a physical example of corruption and grift that people didn't like. When the wrecking ball first hit the East Wing, and when that eagle, whether that is real or AI, emerges, for whatever reason, these are things that are basic, raw, visceral that voters can latch onto and say, I am worried about filling my gas tank to drive to my 2 jobs. And this is what he's focused on.
I mean, isn't it the perfect image if you're running in the Democratic Party against the establishment and against the billionaire class and against corporate donors and against, the let them eat cake cast of our politics? I mean, Donald Trump's putting images of gold on everything, or putting gold on everything, and an eagle on the White House.
Right.
I mean, isn't that a gift to them?
And reportedly, that eagle had 11 stars representing the Confederate States. Just to put it out there.
Great.
That said, I learned a long time ago in this business about the importance of bricks and mortar politics, things you can see, touch, and access. And Ashley's absolutely right. From Donald Trump's point of view, he thinks like a developer. He's like, yeah, I'm going to slap my name on everything. I'm going to build everything. If you live in New York and travel on the West Side Highway, those 10 buildings along that highway used to have his name on it.
Don't have his name any longer.
And don't any longer. But they used to, all over the city. So he thinks that way. More Robert Moses, not the kind of person that's going to do things in the public good, like plant 1 million trees.
Yeah.
But he is going to he probably will bulldoze a neighborhood to put a highway with his name on it. So that said, I think there are positive and negatives for him. The positive is he gets to tell people, look at what I did. But the other side of that are all of those people who are suffering, and look at that ballroom, look at Mar-a-Lago, look at that plane, and they are, as it was said, physical manifestations.
It would be a good idea for him to take a tour of the city again. I know he thinks he's going to be the one remembered for New York and with his Trump Tower and whatnot, but his name is no longer on those buildings. When I was going by there with Jacob Soboroff, we were doing a documentary. We yelled at one of the doormen, what happened to the names? And he said, good riddance.
Right.
But just look at what Michael Bloomberg did. Michael Bloomberg has a mixed reputation and history. But if you fast forward many decades from now, you're going to see all of the work that he did to the West Side Highway, to the East Side, all of the parks that got built, the public spaces that got built and approved, started while he was mayor, spaces that everybody in this city now has come to love and enjoy. That's how you leave a legacy.
Well, I said 1 million trees because that was one of his policies. Yeah. I'm like, where are you going to get 1 million trees from? But he did it.
We're going to hold on. We're going to continue the conversation.